It's loaded.
I think we are live.
Here we go. We are live. This is new for me. Bear with me. This is Evan James. I'm here with my co-host Rhys Evans. How are we?
Not bad. How's things?
Not too bad myself. I just had to mute there. So at the moment I am the cover and Matt's done double for tonight for Cardiff City World. We're gonna basically talk about. So me and Rhys both went to the game yesterday for the All Stars versus Cardiff City 11. It was my first time seeing it, so it was quite interesting, quite entertaining, I thought. And then there's some few other things that Sai has very kindly provided me, just some notes to go through about upcoming things as well. But before we get into anything else, I want to mention that we've got a new member. Welcome to Zach. Thanks very much for joining, mate. And maybe you're in the comments today. Let us know if you are, because I'll be getting some of the comments up as well. Apologies as well, just in advance, if this is slightly less structured. This is my first time, but it's really exciting, and I'm sure within a few appearances, I'll be doing this like breathing. So yeah, basically today we're just going to go through. Just become obviously. Really appreciate anything you can do to support the channel. If you become a patron, and you're not only getting access to behind the scenes content, but you also get early access to live tickets. The shows we do, there's certain shows that you'll never see on YouTube, just to have a laugh as well. We do other calls at different times, and it's just a great bit of fun, and we appreciate as well any that you can to support, because we don't do this for the money, we do it for the love. But obviously any kind of any little would help. So yeah, first of all, let's go to the match yesterday. We both went to it, and what were you kind of expecting, let's say, for the game? Were you expecting anything better than what we've seen all season?
I just thought it'd be a fun, chilled out, laid back, seeing ex-club legends and stuff playing, having a laugh on the pitch. But like Tomlin was when he was throwing himself on the floor a bit. I mean, more stuff like that. I enjoyed it, to be fair. I mean, we laughed. Bellamy half-time was arguing with linesman and the referees. At one point, he was arguing with Tomlin on the pitch for not getting the ball quick enough to him. But again, it's just things like that, and let's be honest. It's just the fun things like that. That's all I was expecting.
Yeah, I think Tomlin and Morrison were the two for me that were really sort of like they understood the purpose of the game, and I actually saw both of them as well. I had a picture of the few of them just getting all like fanboy or generally, right. I had the last time I picture with Morrison was, I think, when I was a teenager, like a young teenager, 16 or so, when we were back like in the Premier League days. I just remember then it's the same kind of feelings of these players that were once at the club. I felt like it was just normal to see them at the club now. But when you see them now, I feel like, oh my God, we really miss these characters. And again, they either retired or they're close to. I think Tomlin, I think he said he's at Sheffield United at the moment. I could be right. I'm sure he said something to do with that. And again, other players as well, like Lee Peltier as well. I think, I'm not sure if he's still at Rotherham or if he's moved on elsewhere. And it's just nice to see him come back, because it brings back good memories of the promotion days and the Premier League days, because that was really when I started getting into watching, Cardiff properly. That's when I had season tickets. And it was nice and all. Like, obviously, it wasn't a full-length game. You can't expect that. But it was nice to see, even for the time they were playing, they were mixing some of the women's team in as well, which I thought, were really good. And, we had quite a few chances as well for both sides. It was a lesson for me, because I was starting to learn half the players' faces. I've heard all these names being chucked around, but I've never actually seen them kick a ball before. But I tell you what, some of those players still have it in them, even though they probably haven't played for 5, maybe 10 years. And obviously Craig Bellamy was a big one as well. Getting to see him play, I think that was great for me. But yeah, so was there any surprise faces and this goes to the comments as well, any surprise faces to see there, or was it everything you kind of expected?
Tom Ramsey playing for the Legends, I was a bit surprised with. Tony Capaldi coming back. I was landing with his name on the team sheet. I mean, when I was growing up, I loved Tony Capaldi. I left back, him and Wits, always together. Like, just brilliant to see them. Gavin Ray. Would love to see Steve McPhail, but again, it's just. I mean, Craig Conway, he looked like he's up for it. He wanted to score yesterday. Dave Marshall was pulling off some of the saves and his distribution. Honestly, he made Horvath look like an amateur. He looks like a football competition, honestly. Dave Marshall was brilliant yesterday, I thought. But yeah, I just thought it was just good to see all ex-Cardiff players, having a laugh on the pitch. Tomlin played a pantomime villain. You see him rolling the ball, holding his face, calling for the card. I mean, the referee getting booed. It's just fun. The game's there, let's be honest. It was just a good day yesterday, that was. And for the great cause as well, Len Noakes' daughter.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
I just loved seeing players again, like Jay Bothroyd. The only thing that surprised me, was a few of them slipped on that pitch a few times.
Yeah.
And I've noticed we do that a lot in the season as well. Players are slipping all over the place and stuff. It's got to be something to do with the grass, I think.
I was going to actually, it's a really good point you mentioned that, because I literally said in the game, as soon as I think it was Jay Bothroyd was the first person to slip as he was clearing it or something, and I was thinking, like, this is happening every game we're slipping. I think it's the same way when we played Leicester last season and Sheffield United away as well. For some reason, whether it's the pitches, but I notice every time they water the pitch so much just before they go out and they train for a bit. They water the pitch a lot just before they play. And then no wonder people are sliding out of the place. And that can be really, it could be a really costly mistake. I mean, we've seen the first goal that if you saw the game or if they put highlights out, the first goal was it from Morrison, who kind of made a bit of a meal about it. And look, I'll say this though, I love Morrison. If that was a league game, I would have probably been screaming for his head to be subbed off because I'm not sure what was happening. But we understand it is a charity game. But it still makes me think sometimes thinking how much the pitch or like how we prepare the pitch can affect certain things like that. I mean, maybe it affects Horvath's distribution. Maybe that's why. Maybe we'll play on solid, dry grass in future if he's still at the club, that is. Cough, So, but yeah, I'm trying to think now. We had Darren Pearce playing as well. I thought it was great to see. Yeah, Tom Ramsey was a big sort of shock for me. So I kind of forgot he was a football player, if I'm being honest. I'm so used to seeing him at the club as a manager, or I don't even know what role has he got at the club.
Well, he was first team coach when then he went back to the academy. I didn't know he played football. I thought he was just a coach. So I was surprised him there. Kevin McNaughton, Kevin McNaughton played winger effectively. He was so forward all game.
Yeah, he's a wing back, wasn't he?
Him and Craig Conway just getting stuck into each other. It was brilliant to see. And so many other players like Gavin Ray and stuff there. Just some of them just playing it was brilliant to see. Stuart O'Keefe, mind. He looked absolutely brilliant. He looks like he hasn't retired yet.
Give him a 2-year contract, man. We need someone like him. He's quite I can't know. He's everywhere. I mean, to be fair, Bellamy was as well. I think he got 2 goals. But you could tell, with Bellamy, it's interesting. I know I don't want to talk too much about Wales because it's Cardiff City World, but I want to mention that Bellamy, I was looking to see how he plays and if it was much different to how he sets Wales up. It's the exact same way. He literally lives by his sort of philosophy. I see him, he was never looking to sort of drive, and there's a few players when they get the ball, like Fraser Campbell, they were trying to sort of at least dribble past one person to put on a show. Bellamy was always looking, he was coming, taking the ball from deep, he was always passing forward, scanning the pitch everywhere. He was doing all of that, and no doubt that same exact philosophy goes into the Welsh squad, and it says a lot when it shows the integrity, because a lot of managers, they say, oh, let's do this and that, but you kind of lose the trust in them because you don't see obviously you don't see them playing if they're managers, but you don't see that sort of consistency. I felt with Umariza, again, they say, oh, he's a nice guy and all that, and to be fair, he was a scapegoat, but I didn't see any consistency throughout the season of what kind of play style he wanted to play. He says he wants to play attacking football, and then we've never seen a more defensive, performance. So I'm not sure whether there is a lack of integrity in terms of how we want the setup versus how we actually play. And I don't know whether that's a disconnect with the players and the manager, or if the manager just isn't good enough at executing that.
It was funny, man. I think we went 4-2 down, didn't they? Cardiff City did. The All-Stars are 4-2 up, and I thought, this is typical of us. We can't even win a charity game. That's how bad it's gone. But it was just good. It was just a great laugh, I think. I mean, every tackle, the crowd were up for it. Every decision the ref made, the crowd booed. I think it was just fun to see some ex-players get back in it. And some of the leaders we've had over the years, Peltier was playing. You've seen Gavin Ray playing. You've seen Tony Capaldi, there was Sean Morrison, you think David Marshall, Ledley, and I was just thinking we could have done with some of them this season. Like 1 or 2 of them in that dressing room. Some of the shit that going on behind the scenes, we wouldn't have had it. But it was just great to see, I thought, honestly. And Bellamy, I mean, again, he was arguing with Tomlin at one point to come closer, to get the ball quicker, to move it quicker, then arguing with the referee and the linesman, then having words at half-time with the linesman. So even a fun
He was coach. Yeah.
A fun friendly, he was still arguing, desperate to win, which is something you want to see you doing.
I love that, though. That's what I mean. Like, I think Tomlin had a bit of it. I mean, Tomlin was definitely the pantomime sort of villain, but you could tell. I tell you what, some of the passes and and it wasn't just him. It was loads of players. I mean, Borthroyd as well. Sometimes drop into like a false nine, little flicks of passes, and you don't expect people or players to do that. At least for when we're playing in league. But it's nice to show that like they're not afraid to try things. I mean, again, it's a charity match. I have to keep saying that to myself. But at the same time, even if we played like some of the players did in that charity match, we probably wouldn't be in a relegation scrap. Because, I mean, again, it's like it becomes a habit when you're losing. But when you realize there's absolutely no pressure to play games, we tend to perform better. I mean, yes, we got battered by Norwich, but we still scored goals in that one. And to be fair, there's only been a few games where we scored more than like 2 goals in a game. And I understand you can't do a Plymouth every time and score 5-0. But it just shows that at that time, at least, when we just had Rhys for a few games, we played with a sense of freedom and without pressure. And again, it was early in the season where we didn't need results. But Cardiff have never been one to sort of like, be good under pressure. We usually get some result. But I don't know. I find that like maybe because we're in League One now, obviously there's going to be urgency to get back up. But I wonder if the next manager we have, whoever it is, will let our players play a bit more freely, because the likes of Rubin Colwill and Tana, I feel like they thrive off of having more of a free role. But with the amount of managers we've gone through as well, and how much different philosophies, and I feel like the creativity in players has almost been coached out of them. They're not allowed to attack, to take people 1v1, because it's all about possession football now. That's what I see. That's why people like Josh Bowler, like last season, I feel like Bullet basically coached him out of taking on people 1v1 and things like that. When we saw the charity match, I just felt like there were like moments we had 1v1s on the wings crossing in. We don't see any of that in the league games.
I think late on in the game, I think the first half was typical of Cardiff playing. The ball goes wide, you got one player in the box. The second half, we had like 10 players in the box and the ball went wide. Everyone was in there, and I think that's what made it fun then. I mean, it was some of the passing was typical of what we've seen this season from the first team. I think some of the passing was shocking, but again, Tomlin, he's just got that technique and a bit of flair where it's just
he's a magician, isn't he?
Deft touch, and all of a sudden it's gone through 4 players into space, and someone's on the attack. Like, it was just fantastic to see.
He reminds me of Colwill, though. Like, he's a similar player to Colwill. Hasn't got a lot of pace, but he's always got magic. I can see why you don't agree, but I feel like he does have that kind of like, he almost knows that no one's going to steal the ball off him. We don't have many players have that level of confidence.
My argument is Tomlin was someone who could turn the magic on whenever he wanted, but he'd give you 40% in a game, and if he felt like it, he'd go up to 60%. Where Rubin gives you 100% a game, but he doesn't have that magic to. I mean, it's just something some players have, and I don't think he has that magic that Tomlin had, but he has a better work rate and better desire, determination. So, you pick Rubin 10 times out of 10 when it comes to him and Tomlin. But when Tomlin turned the magic on, I mean, I remember his assisting his Leeds for Glatzel, that little flick on through the lines, all of a sudden, bang. When Tomlin wanted to turn up, he turned up like. It's just disappointing that he couldn't keep himself fit. He couldn't keep himself in shape. And I don't want to sound harsh. I wasn't surprised when I seen him yesterday playing. He looked like he'd enjoyed retirement more than others did, if that makes sense. And that's not a harsh thing. But it was like with his playing career, that was. He enjoyed the party more than the playing, like.
Yeah, no, I could definitely see that. I think maybe, I'm not sure how old he is now, but I don't know, I think he's kind of like the same with like Gareth Bale. It's almost like he couldn't wait to retire in a way, and like it's like almost like golf always took a top seat, and then football, and then Madrid or whatever. It was golf, Wales, Madrid in that order as it was the thing. And I don't know. Some people, I guess, they just like that, and they just they're very open about it. I think a lot of people probably were like happy to retire, but maybe didn't want to, or like didn't want to be public about it. And then you had others who probably I'm thinking like, oh, if he takes another step on this pitch, he's going to get injured. Like, but I just want to draw his comment from JT. How does Tom Ramsey qualify for a Legends game? At least Person, Gavin Ward, are ex-players. But I think someone else said further down, oh, yeah, Tom Ramsey played in the Welsh leagues apparently.
I don't. Again, he's part of the club, so I have no issue with him playing. I don't understand how he's a legend. I thought there's other players they could have brought back. Steve McPhail, Aaron Gunnarsson. There's so many that we've had. I think Chopra was supposed to play. I don't remember seeing Chopra there, if I'm honest.
It wasn't Earnshaw either.
No, I don't recall seeing Earnshaw, Chopra, or Capaldi.
The names were on there.
I seen on the list. Yeah, I seen the list. I got the list for you now. I got again. Some of them I thought I don't remember seeing half of these names, but they played. But Scott Young, I don't remember seeing Scott Young. He's not the best mine, but yeah, there's a few names. It was good to see like Matthew Connolly back as well. Jason Fowler and stuff.
I recognise him. Yeah.
Other names, I was like, well, I haven't seen them today.
Stuart Keefe's apparently still playing with. Is it Chatham Town? Have I said that right?
Chatham Town.
Chatham. I'm not sure.
You could tell he still plays, mind. He just looked.
Yeah.
He wasn't out of breath after making a run. He was in the space, picking the ball up. His passing was crisp. Everything about it. His first touch was perfect. You could see he looked like a man who's still playing regular. Like, I don't remember seeing Lee Camper, Gavin Ward, and David Marshall, and then they just seemed to be randoms on either end. And I don't remember seeing Lee Camper, if I'm honest, too.
Well, Colwill, let him go, ain't done it for us. Look, I'm going to say what everyone else has said on this one, all right? And, everyone's entitled to their opinions, and I'm going to tell you why you're wrong. But, no. But, again, 9 managers in 6 seasons. We had a bit of a clear out. It's going to be the second clear out that we're probably going to have in about 4 seasons. And you think of it, right? To go through 9 managers in 6 seasons, I don't care what kind of player you are, right? Even if you're probably more knowledgeable than the manager, it's probably not going to do you much good. And especially when you know of the people in charge of the club and how, let's say, resistant they are to certain changes. You can't. How much? Okay, this is a question for you then, Rhys. How much do you think is on the fault of like Colwill, for example, for not like performing as people would expect him to, versus it's out of his hands and he's doing the best he can?
See, I like Rubin, don't get me wrong, right? And he came through when things were going shit for us, let's be honest. When he came through, he was a bit of magic, a bit of spark that we needed, that we hadn't seen for so long. And I think part of me thinks we look at Rubin, I think he can still do it every game. For me, he has it one every 7 or 8 games, he's magic. Other than that, I think he looks a bit average. Maybe he can't do the role as a 10. Maybe he's better than 8. He looks okay than 8, like Bellamy said. I don't know. And others have said, we need certain players around him. But again, after 5 years, you can't keep saying these other players around him. He's got to start doing it on a regular basis and get consistent. He didn't start at Ramsey. I don't know if it's personal issues. I don't know what's going on. I think if we get an offer between £6 and £7 million, maybe time to accept it and let him go. And he can flourish elsewhere, and we'll just use that money for elsewhere. Like, if we don't get that offer, I'd keep him and start him. But again, it seems to be a regular thing every season where we say, this is his year. This is the year he breaks out. This is the year he does something. And every year he'll have 4 or 5 outstanding games, then a lot of average games. It's getting to the point where you are scratching your head thinking, is it players around him? Is it him? Does he take too long with the ball at his feet? Is he one of those players who likes to let the ball run across him before he gets on there? He got found out a bit too easy, I think, at the start of the season. He stick to the right-hand side. Teams put extra man there. He was closed down. No time and space on the ball. He'd lose it. But again, it's not just him, man. A whole approach to attacking the games was piss poor this season. I mean, the amount of times the ball would go wide and there'd be 4 players. If he's the 10, it'd be him, the winger, the right back, and the 8, all in the corner of the pitch, no one in the box. So, again, maybe with better coaching on the attacking side of games, he has a bigger impact. But, again, until we have seen another coach coming out, you don't know. But Steve Morrison didn't really trust him. Warnock, I don't think, trusted him. Warnock
said he looked at the youth and he said he couldn't find anyone there.
Exactly, and they got I think Morrison, you had Hudson, Sabri, Bullet, Ramsey now didn't start him. You had Rhys. Again, I want him to succeed. I really do. But manager after manager doesn't seem to trust him to play at number 10 for us on a regular basis. I just don't know. I mean, this summer, I think if you get a decent offer, I think we have to sell. And not just because I don't think he's good, not because I think he's not good enough for something, but for his own development. I mean, he could go into a club and just tear it up, and all of a sudden Wales got another star player. But at the minute, I'm struggling to see, again, if we get a good offer, I'd accept. And that's nothing against him.
I will come back to yours, but I do appreciate you guys leaving all the comments as well. I just want to say, if you haven't subscribed, like the majority of you haven't, please do that. It really does help the channel. We're over now 1,000 subs, which the last time I really checked, we probably just hit the 1,000 sub mark, which I really appreciate that. Anything you can do to support the channel, share it around as well. And again, become a member if I haven't already mentioned that. But no, I just wanted to say, because I appreciate all your comments, I'll try to get through everyone tonight, because we do things differently here. We've got a familiar face as well in the comments. Hello to you as well, Rob. I was saying about Colwill, yeah, I think we're with Colwill as well. I think you're right when you said they put an extra man on the right-hand side to sort of stop Rubin Colwill. Do you not think at that point it becomes a managerial thing to recognise that, oh, well, if they've got another man on Colwill, you think maybe then, they realise that he has got talent? And because he hasn't got an answer to that then, I mean, he stays quiet the whole game then. But I think at that point, it becomes, well, both a player decision, but also a manager to realise, oh, wow, okay, they're doubling up on one of our players. That's when the managerial mind comes in and says in the dressing room, okay, if they double up on Colwill, this will happen, or this play will happen. Because I find that with Rhys, it's almost like, everyone says he's tactically flexible. He was almost too much to the point where it was like he didn't have much of a plan going into the game because he was too reactive to what the other team did. Whereas we've got other managers, again, I think Bullet was one of them, where, no, we play this style of football no matter what happens, and there's no plan B. I feel like that both ways kind of hurts us. But I think, and not just Colwill as well, but other players as well, we don't seem to play, we never seem to put round pegs in round holes, and we never seem to play to our strengths either.
But yeah, I mean, Rubin, I think Coventry away, the same thing happened. They put a man on him, right-hand side of the pitch, kept getting blocked out. He actually drifted to the left-hand side and then created an assist for Robertson to score. And I'm thinking, if there's pockets of space there, just utilise it. But it's not just him. We've seen, like, sort of Callum Robertson play sort of a 10, the false 9-10 position. He does it well. He picks up the pockets of space, so teams can't really put a man on him, because when they do, gaps open up elsewhere. But Robertson, when he played 10, he did the same sort of thing. He struggled finding pockets of space. Start of the season, he did brilliant. Second half, he just struggled. So I don't know if it's a tactical thing that maybe the support around him wasn't there to help him. I don't agree with the fact I know some people say, Rubin plays better when Tanner's there. I don't think we can say that, because again, if Tanner's injured, for example, you can't say then, well, Rubin not going to have a good game now because Tanner's not there. You can't rely on a player like that. I think he would be more effective with actual pace. I think a lot of the season, El Ghazi stifled Rubin because El Ghazi was always offside. So I think Rubin held onto the ball too long. No one, he couldn't offload it because El Ghazi was always offside. I think with a decent out-and-out winger, I think Rubin puts the ball through into space. I think we get runners on the end of things. But sometimes he lets the ball run across his body and defenders just pick it off him, and then it looks like he's just too slow getting back, and then sometimes he holds on to the ball too long. I just think if you get a proper manager, a proper coaching staff in, and that's nothing against Rhys, by the way, I'm not saying he wasn't a proper manager, but you get a full coaching staff in, you get someone working with him, he could flourish. But again, my only argument is that we can't keep saying season after season, this is his year. This is the year he has to break out. Because every year, at the end of every season, we keep saying, he didn't do it this year. Maybe next year. We can't keep saying that. And again, if we had a decent offer coming for him, I'd probably accept it and have to use the money elsewhere in the side. But if nothing that comes in for him, then hold on to him. He's a Cardiff boy. He's not as if he's going to down tools or nothing. He'll give 100% every game. That's one thing I'll never criticise him for. He'll always give 100%. But sometimes you need just that. one in every 7 or 8 games is magic, and in the other games he's average. And I just think last season we could afford that because too many other people are average as well, or too many other players are poor as well.
Even Colin Robinson, I think, when he had his 12 goal sort of streak and then nothing afterwards as well. And it sort of says now, and it's almost like our top goal scorer I would happily let go, which is something mad because we're always looking for a goal scorer now. But I feel like Salek is a natural poacher. And whether you want to play in target man, I generally just see him, don't play in target, just play him as a poacher, as a traditional striker where he's in the box again, because he's going to score us tons of goals if he stays. And I know, like people say, oh yeah, he wants to stay. Yes, I know he wants to stay. And I'm really excited with the hopes that he does stay. I just know how football works by now, and that if an offer comes in and it's enough money, and nowadays people pay ridiculous amounts of money. I mean, I think even Joby Bellingham going to Borussia Dortmund for 25 mil. Sunderland will get 25 mil for that. Look, I believe he's a decent player, but it's the name that sells there. Let's not kid ourselves, right? His brother's obviously there. They see the project. It's like Project Mbappe. I think we kind of have this with some of our players as well, where, don't get me wrong, right? I think they can be great and excel in Premier League or Championship clubs. But I think because they are our players, like Kieran Nash, for example, it's like we're going to sort of have these ultra high expectations. But we've got to realize at the end of the day, look, we are the what's the word, we kind of bring it upon ourselves. We set these ultra high expectations and realize that one player isn't actually going to do it. And again, I feel like if we put more money into spending on a good manager, he could get the best out of more or less any bunch of players as long as they have the right attitude. I mean, you think of Warnock now, and we'll get onto managers shortly. I feel like Warnock had one of the worst squads I've seen in the Premier League, and we almost stayed up. And that's not to disrespect anyone, right? I think football ability-wise, we didn't have many really technical players. I think Camarasa was... you could see the clear difference between Camarasa and Junior Hoilett, for example. Both great players, but you could tell that Junior Hoilett was good Championship standard. Camarasa was lower Premier League standards. And I think he went to Crystal Palace, but got injured there. So, he was the only player after we left, maybe Bobby Reid, you could say, that actually stayed in the Premier League. So we always got to remember that, most of our players just aren't going to be the quality that we want them to. They're going to be consistent. But what we can't have, like you said, is another season where it's we try and hold on to them for one more season and try and almost, have some wishful thinking. And it's the same now. If you were to ask where we'd finish this season now at this point for League One, I would say if we get the right football structure in place, we finish second. But until I see that happen, as far as I see it, we're finishing 14th, 15th, maybe even, lower down again. And I don't want to be that because, I ideally don't want to be doing content in League Two, but you got to kind of be realistic of every season. At least I've overestimated where we finish, and we end up, and then we wonder why some people always predict us in the bottom. It's because we don't have the footballing structure.
But like I said, Ruben's a victim of his own success sometimes. That goal against Bristol City, beats two men, puts it in the top corner. Sometimes when he turns the magic on, it's wonderful. Salek, I agree, play him as a number 9. He plays off the shoulder of the defender, gets in behind, he can do wonders. But he needs pace on the way, either wing he does, I think, to be effective. This is where nothing is Ashford, but I think if you got two pacey out-and-out wingers, I'd drop Ashford to them both. Two proper out-and-out wingers, I think, deadly. Personally, I want to see Calvert out on the left-hand side of the wing. I want to get a proper left back in. I think it's just a joke that since January we've had no left back really. We had Bagan, but he's played just centre half really. Jamalu, the sooner he's gone, the better. I think it says it all. Gone. I think it says it all. None of the players, all I'd say is if you watch any videos of him training, the team training, he's never there. That's all I'll say, right? I think he's not there.
Allegedly.
The sooner he's gone, the better, right? But we need a proper left back, a proper right back as well. But then this is it now, because we've got players on paper who are decent Championship players and they're not been good enough. So you need a manager to come in now who will sort it out now and just, I think, sign a couple of leaders. I think it's just so much needed. And the fact we're going into another week now with no idea who the manager's going to be, you do start worrying, I think, as it gets closer and closer. I mean, I know it's only May, the playoffs haven't ended yet, but the last thing we need is go to June now. No manager, still deciding. Players are leaving on the end of contracts because no new manager can say if he wants to keep them or not. It's frustrating.
I think like just before we get to the manager stuff, look, I'm not saying I do like the in the know kind of stuff. I know Sai doesn't, but let's just say that I've allegedly heard that things are moving at a slightly faster pace than what everyone's anticipating, and that could mean literally anything at this point because you know how vague the club are with things and how repetitive it gets. But from what I've heard anyway, it seems a little bit more optimistic than what people think. But at the same time, you could think about like how low our standards or expectations, should I say, have gotten. Because, like no one's kidding themselves this year now. Like we all, even if we say we're probably going to go straight back up to Championship, no one's kidding themselves and thinking we're going to breeze through this. I doubt it. And, if your opinion is that, it's fair enough. But I think we've seen so many times now that, we still haven't got like a football structure in place, and I get it. It's just start the season, but when I'm not sure if it's Ken Chu said it or whoever said it, oh, the planning starts now, or this is day one of taking action. I'm thinking like that. Why would you say that? You know what I mean? Because even if it was, don't tell us that. You should have sort of like make us assume that you've already been planning behind the scenes from months ago. Here's a plan if we get relegated. Here's a plan if we stay up. Here's a plan if we get in the playoffs. Obviously, that was less likely, but there was no plan. But anyway, I'm kind of rambling now. I've got actually, I was posted it in our WhatsApp group for the members that there's the odds for the managers, and it's changed a bit. So originally, I think this is on, I think it's Odds Checker Sports, but like originally, I think Ramsey was 2-1. Now he's 5-1. But Des Buckingham's apparently the leading candidate. But I've also been heard that he's somewhat linked. Am I right with the Huddersfield job, or is that someone else? I think they wanted David Wagner in first, and then Des Buckingham was the second choice apparently. But he's the top of the list at the moment according to this sort of odds checker. What would you think about Des Buckingham?
I think it depends really. I think, is he going to be allowed to bring his own staff in? Is he going to have a full staff to back him? Is he going to have chance to speak to the board and tell him what he wants or what he needs? Or is this going to be another situation where 6 months' time we're not top of the league, so they sack him, bring in another coach? I mean, he played decent football in League One with Oxford. I think he was unlucky to get sacked at Oxford, really. They're the smallest budget in the league, I think. I mean, he got a tune-up of Mark Harris, which, if you can get a tune-up to something like that, I mean, fair play to you. Because I think he finished... No offence to Mark Harris, he finished with 6 goals in the Championship for Oxford. And I think, they were raving about him. Salah came in January and 8 goals for us. I think that shows the difference of standard, really, and let's be honest. So, I'd be happy with a manager, let's be honest. If we could sign someone right now, just get someone in, but I don't trust the board. I don't trust who's making decisions. The fact we've hired another company, I think they haven't, is it Wasserman or something?
Yeah.
They hired a company to hire the last manager, and in the end, they went, we'll stick with Rhys. So you're thinking, well, you didn't take the company's advice last time, so there's nothing to suggest they'll take the company's advice this time. So
I think as well, it's important to note that, and Cyrus said this as well last night, that just because they partnered with Wasserman or whatever now, doesn't mean it's for hiring the manager. It could be for other roles of the club as well. However, how are we supposed to know what that could mean? Because for all we know, when we see they worked with them before, or the fact that the first thing they've done is gone to this random sport agency, and they've gone, oh yeah, you know what? Like, let's work with them. I just feel like it's almost slowly setting up for failure. I think, I don't know. I don't like it when they go to like these all external, people that we have no idea about. I want to know that one of the first names coming to the club is a manager or director of football, someone who knows football stuff. I feel like it's constantly like them going to like their cousins for like advice or something. That's the impression I get. It's all like, oh, we'll just ask around the family and see what they think. It's like, no, you're running a football club. You're at the Cardiff City, the capital of Wales, and it doesn't even look like they're that bothered into. Well, this is the impression we get, right, as fans over the years. It doesn't look like they're that bothered into like going, okay, right, we need this person, this person, this person. Instead, I feel like they're going, oh, these people know some stuff about football. We'll just sort of like ask them, and then we'll probably say no and do our own thing anyway. That's the impression that I get, at least.
Well, again, you think there's always, first of all, right, if you remember back at the start of the season when they announced Bullet signed a new deal, Dalman came out and said, finally, it's good to see a plan in place. We've operated too long without a plan, now we got one. Clearly, they didn't have a plan in place because it's a shit show. There's talk that maybe there'll be a director of football. You'd think if the first thing they would do is bring a director of football in rather than a manager, because if the director of football would find a manager who has the same sort of philosophy as he does, so when they're both looking at players together, they both come up with the same conclusions of the players. And therefore, there's sort of, two minds are looking at seeing the same thing, like, rather than just one, a fresh pair of eyes. But the worst, we don't know how it works. For all we know, Wasserman might have, friends with one manager and say, oh, give this guy a job. Tan goes, yeah, go on then. He won promotion at Chorley Town or Bracknell in the non-league. He must be good, do you mean? Whereas Dalman could be saying, oh, why not bring in Darren Moore's done a fantastic job here? And we go, I've never heard of him. I've heard of this other town. No, let's get them. Do you mean? So you've got three people there, all fighting to be heard, and one man makes a decision. So I don't think it matters right now who we hire. Again, I just think nothing's changing. Nothing will change. It'll be the same. We'll probably be saying next season now, we still had no direction, no idea, no identity, and nothing's changed. And we'll still hear the same thing from the club. There's a plan in place. There's no plan in place. Dalman and Chu are probably scrambling to do as much as they can to save their jobs right now.
I think the only thing with Dalman, I won't say he's safe, but I think because he's made his own investments, I think that kind of puts him as almost as much at the deep end. So I think Dalman's kind of stuck with Tan, but I just think that I just genuinely think it doesn't matter what they suggest, even if, and I know, and from things I've heard allegedly, they were screaming at Tan to sort of say, look, we need to change. We can't have Rhys anymore. We need to get someone else in place. Otherwise, we're going down. And they were very set on that. Again, this is what I've heard. And basically, Tan either didn't respond or just said, no, we're sticking with Rhys. Now, you could say, okay, well, he's doubling down it. Fair enough. But once you realize you haven't gone above, I think it was 17th position all season, or at least since Christmas anyway, that's worrying, because this season's been so open for the entire season. There was like at one point, I think there's like 5 teams all like 1 point apart from each other. And it was still really close right to the end. You think of the amount of, there was 2 positions on the last day, albeit Plymouth were basically relegated by goal difference, but 2 positions on the last day where it could have changed. I mean, if Plymouth won 12-0 against Leeds, maybe they might have stayed up and then you'd have Derby go down as well. But it's like, this league was so open. It's been a very poor season, I find, anyway. Because even Leeds, I mean, they've battered teams, but even Leeds have had spells where they've lost to, teams you'd expect them to beat. There's only really been one team that's kind of dominated. Sunderland only really dominated for the first up until Christmas, and then they fell off. And I can't think of any other teams. Sheffield United, they kind of had a spell where they dropped out a bit. Burnley are the one. I mean, Burnley, I suppose, is probably the more consistent. I think they've only lost 2 or 3 games all season. But at the same time, it's like, when those teams come down, like you see Burnley and Leeds, you kind of just accept that they're probably going to be playing a higher level next season. But there's still so many other positions open. I mean, not Preston, but you think of Bristol, the most mid-table of mid-table sides, they got in the playoffs. You know what I mean? And, Swansea in a relegation scrap. And then what happened? They changed their manager. Well, they end up finishing 11th, 12th around that area. And it's crazy to think. But like you said, an inexperienced manager took us down, but let's get another inexperienced manager to get us out of League One. Are you insane? I mean, look, we clearly agree here, but I got to be honest, it wouldn't be the most insane thing or like the most surprising thing if they did go with another somewhat inexperienced manager for me. But
first of all, Rhys gets a lot of blame for this, right? And I think I'm fairly... When you consider the fact, right, our right back from last season was awful this year. We played him in centre midfielder right back because he couldn't do a job. We had our left back, somebody's gone a better. We had a left winger there. Callum Chambers, one of the highest earners of the club. Centre half, can't defend to save his life. If he fell out of a boat, he would miss the water, let's be honest. That's how bad he is, right? And I'll be funny. You ended up playing him as a 6. I can't tell if it was the fact that he was so bad in defence that as 6 he looked that much better. But when you see how easily overrun our midfield was, he wasn't that great, really. I mean, there's so much wrong with the club, and I think the people that make a decision on who they sign in has got to take a lot of fault, a lot of blame with that. Kanga, £500,000 and his wages. Who's seen him? Who thought whatever they seen was good enough for the Championship? It was shocking. The first 4 or 5 games, he barely moved.
Oh, yeah, I mean, literally.
I mean, Mate Day, no offence to Mate Day, right? He tries his hardest, right? Carlon Grant signed on loan last season, played on the wing. He scored more goals in one season, I think Mate Day has in two for us. That says it all. I mean, the people who sign these players for us, Rocco Simic, we've had about 3 or 4 managers now who say, don't think he's ready to play yet. The club are making signings that the managers don't think are good enough. I mean, players got to hold their head down. Robertson. First half of the season looked brilliant. Second half, he looked like down tools. I'm not going to lie. I don't know if it was an injury thing. I don't know if his fitness thing was poor. Preston North End, the midweek game, straight after the international break. 3 subs at half-time because they couldn't do 45 minutes. They were shattered. I mean, come on. You can put as much blame as the manager, but the players let everyone down this year. A lot of them did. And I think only 3 or 4 of them could actually hold their heads high at the end of the season.
Yeah, it's still the words outside my mouth, and like, I look at, I get this comment back up now. I look at this comment, and to me, I mean, in my opinion, I don't think Tony Mowbray will get it due to health reasons. And Rob Edwards, I'm not completely convinced about, only because I don't think right now would be. This is my opinion, but I don't think right now would be a safe bet to go for, since he basically got Luton relegated. I mean, look, I'm sure he would do a great job here in the future, but I think we kind of have to put aside for a second just getting a Welsh person in, or someone who's been connected with the club before. I think is in Ramsey's case, I think is different, because even if he isn't manager, having him around the club will only be a positive thing, even if he is taking a bit of the wages up, because he knows all the problems about this club. He knows his club and he loves his club so much that he's taken, I know he's probably still on a pretty good wage, but he's taken such a massive pay cut just to come here. Not many players would do that, even towards the end of their career. I find that, like, at first I was thinking, no, I wouldn't want Ramsey because he hasn't got experience. But if we were to get, my sort of preferred thing would be Gary O'Neill, because apparently he's already registered his interest at the club when a bit before Rhys got sacked, I think, a few games before. Again, this is apparent, but I think Gary O'Neill with Ramsey, either as assistant manager or even the assistant of the assistant, just have him around the club. I don't think we're going to get much more minutes out of Ramsey. I would rather we didn't, if I'm being honest, because I know he wants to play for, the World Cup if we, get it or qualify. But I think you kind of got to realize when the boat's kind of been sailed now, and realize that, Ramsey has so much he can do for this club, whether he's manager or not. I just think with his connections, and that's the one thing I think that's going to save us this season. Well, 2 things: keeping Salek and having Ramsey to bring in the connections of players he likes. Because I know we brought in players like Chambers, and I'm sure he was linked with that. But like, I trust all the players that I trust Ramsey to be sensible with everything. And it's the one person I think that Tan actually listens to or hears him out. I don't think any other player can influence the slightest bit of Tan's decisions or any of the board members, apart from when everyone was screaming to give Rhys the job. I thought that's so weird. Like you said, I think other people said as well at Cardiff City World, you don't have the employees choose your supervisor, because it's like choosing your teacher. They're obviously going to choose a supply teacher who has almost no experience, so that they can do whatever they want. Then that's how it would be. Every time in school when you have a supply teacher, the whole class is like when I was in school, the whole class is just chaotic, because they understand that person doesn't have or hasn't had the respect earned from other clubs. So it's like, again, I look back at it now and think, it was always the wrong appointment for Rhys. Again, I don't have any hate towards him personally, but I just thought that, I don't know, I just think back to him, why did we gamble? We're not a club that should be gambling in situations like this.
See, I remember Bristol City game, I was saying he's not got it. He made the changes at Bristol City away after 60 minutes, and it cost us 3 points, in my opinion. I think he went too defensive too soon. We had a 4-game winning run. At the time, I said, look, the players are playing brilliant football. We are playing good football. They want him. I can understand keeping him. I was happy with it. But then all of a sudden, November comes along, and he's asked, is the job yours? And he's saying, no one from the club has spoken to me. No one's reached out to me. Says how shit the club has been run. It gets to December, they lose to Oxford away. I think, take all emotion out of it, that's the game you think, right, if you are going to make a change, do it now. It's a week before the January window opens, new manager comes in now, he's got time to look at things and see what he's strengthened on. They don't, they keep him. And fair enough, they keep him. It's a gamble. Sometimes it works. Look at Pompey, they kept their manager. It paid off. January comes, we all know we need a right back, a left back, a striker, and let's be honest, we probably need a keeper. I like Alnwick, but I think Horvath is a joke, and not being funny. The club signed a striker, a midfielder, and that's it, really. They don't really strengthen the areas we know we need to strengthen. They gamble again. March comes, I think it's March, or was it February? We had Plymouth, Portsmouth, Bristol City, Hull, all in the space of a month. You're looking at them thinking, we're home for Hull, we're home for Bristol City, Pompey's away, but we're away for Plymouth as well. We pick up 10 to 12 points in this now, where we're safe. And the players don't perform. Portsmouth is disgusting, the performance was. Some of them players just didn't want to be there, they just couldn't be bothered. And then you're thinking, right, this is it now, really. I think we know now. Now's the time to make the last chance to make a decision, before otherwise it's going to go pear-shaped. They don't make the decision. They basically left Rhys out to dry, really. I mean, there was talks of a new manager coming in and Warner coming in. No one the club come out to support him and say, no, he's our guy, we're sticking with him. No one supported him. No one backed him. I mean, let's be honest, his coaching staff was a joke. They promoted Darren Purse and Tom Ramsey. Nothing against them both. But the only other person they hired was Gavin Ward as an interim goalkeeping coach and Richard Shaw. I don't recall a fitness coach, I don't recall an attacking coach, a set-piece coach. They basically had 4 guys to the job of 9 or 10.
Our set pieces were absolutely awful as well. It was clear. I think, I don't want to check his name in the flyer, but I'm pretty sure it was either Darren Purse or Gavin Ward who was on set piece duty. But what happened? Because we literally went from 2 seasons ago or so, only being able to score from set pieces, to this season, we can't even score from open play or set pieces. I think, again, we talked so much about the crosses and the corner kicks and even throw-ins. How long? I mean, I've never seen Perry and G take so long to take a throw-in. And again, I know they do the trick of sort of walking down the touchline, but Jesus Christ, man, I've never seen so long. You see other players. I can't remember who did we play. It was West Brom, the last game I saw, and it's they taking corners, they're taking throw-ins really quick. They obviously been coaching to that. Oh, it might even be Norwich as well. When I saw that on telly, it was everything was done so quick, and they value sort of the time on the pitch. We just seem to kind of just casually stroll through it every game's a charity match game. But even there, you see more entertainment in charity match games. No disrespect again to players in it, but obviously players who are less fit or who are not professional footballers, for example, you see way more energy and passion in those games than you do Cardiff City all season long. And I want to go back to this comment, one of the very first comments actually, saying that Terry saying we should get Des Buckingham, and yes, he was sacked, but unfairly. But he said, "I'm up for a challenge more than ever. Good luck to you next season after next." And I'll be if we got Des Buckingham tomorrow, I would be happy with that. But again, it's kind of I don't know at this point. I can't even predict, within 5 places we will finish next season, because it could be literally first, second, it could be bottom, it could be mid-table, and that's the worrying part about it, is the fact that I don't even know what's good anymore. All I know is not having a football structure isn't good. So, well,
almost set pieces. I think everything about it was wrong. I mean, the delivery was piss poor. Let's be honest. We couldn't beat the first man half time. When we did beat the first man, everyone was standing on the edge of the box, no runners. Opposition put everyone in the 6-yard box, too easy to defend. If you do get a margin tomorrow, this is where sporting director comes in effect. Vincent Tan should just say, look, there's the budget for the season. You're in charge of the budget. Don't blow it. I'm not backing anymore. you control the signings, the selling players, but you work with him now. All decisions on you now. At least then the fans will say, finally, there's some sort of structure in place. I mean, you could buy the fans with that. But again, I think the ship has sailed for Tan and Dalman and stuff now. I think it's all gone. I mean, again, yesterday we sat where the players come out, the tunnel where the players come out for the charity game. In front of you is red seats. Again, looking at that, it's just a painful reminder. You see the badge. This year you had, the fucking little worm on it. Again, it's just painful reminders. So I think, he's burned his bridges in the club. I think all of them have at the boardroom level. I don't know what else they can do now. I just think it's time to step up and move on. Hopefully bring someone else in. But if not, just bring a sporting director in. Give him the season's budget. Tell him he has to work with it. If he breaks the budget, that's on him because he's not backing them all. At least then he can't be blamed for things. And, step back. But otherwise, nothing's going to change. I think we'll probably get 8th or 9th in the league next year. I think we'll just miss out on playoffs. But next year will be about stabilising the club, if I'm honest too. I think we'll have such a massive wage bill we're going to cut down. We're going to struggle to clear some of them out. I think it'll just be a case of get rid of who we can, bring in cheaper players, and see where we are.
I realise now we're coming towards the end of the time here, but I just see loads of comments now about Ramsey as well, and I thought it'd be a good thing to mention. Again, just for those of you who are at the start as well, please become a member, and it's all down in the description. It's literally less or about the same as a cup of coffee nowadays with how it is in the UK. Again, you get exclusive access to live shows, you get early access to tickets. We do, I believe, I don't know specifics yet, but I have been told that in the next coming weeks, there will be more announcements for 2 more live events in the coming weeks. So remember, you're not only getting access to the early access videos, also live tickets. So I'll be excited to hear when we get more details. I don't know myself yet. This is all I've got to go off. So if anyone thinks they're going to get any secrets about it, I don't know. So please again, if you haven't subscribed as well. But I just want to finish off then. Ramsey, against a few comments about Ramsey. What would you say then? Would you like him to stay at the club even if he's not going to play? Because I'm hearing some comments as well saying that why is Ramsey getting the hype and treated as a club legend if he's not playing?
Well, first of all, I think a lot of people keep saying things about £50,000 a week and stuff, but the sites that get them off suggest we pay about £20 million in wages a season. But we all know we're not paying that much anyway, so them figures are inflated. Firstly, I think he probably brings a lot in commercial wise. So, like Bellamy, when Bellamy came, we paid a chunk of his wages, but commercially we benefited from it. Secondly, you're thinking Ramsey with his experience can work with youngsters. You need to keep something on the coaching staff. Again, if he's working with youngsters day in, day out, it's going to benefit us. He has links as well. He's a known figure. He has links with Italian players. If Manswerk now, for example, you're saying the Manswerk come to Cardiff, he's going, who? Do you know Ramsey? He plays for Cardiff. Oh, I know Ramsey. Yeah, right, I'll have a look at them, and he must be a decent side. Things like that. But I know you mentioned the price of membership would actually be more expensive for the Swansea season ticket. So, I know a lot of people in this chat know Swansea fans who won't pay it, but it's not all bad.
I think I pulled up a Swan one by accident earlier, but no, it wasn't anything hateful. I appreciate any engagement as well. We had someone from Portsmouth earlier. We have people from Oxford I've seen before. And again, it's exclusive Cardiff City content, but we welcome all opinions. Just as long as you're respectful about it, it's fine. And again, like you said, we're used to Swans now, sort of saying League One and everything. We know we're in League One. It's is it obvious? I mean, apparently there's a party for it as well. That didn't affect me in the slightest because I'd already come to terms with it about a month back that we were relegated. I mean, there were so many clear signs. But yeah, so that was it. I think it's funny when they try, because it generally doesn't get to me anymore. I just find it laughable. The damage has been done a long time ago, and if anything, it's been done a few seasons ago. Ever since really we came back. I mean, again, not to make this a financial matter, but ever since that tragedy of Salah, we've never really recovered from that. Let's be honest. And again, I don't think Tan has either, but in a different way. It's just sad, but I found one about El Ghazi here. El Ghazi managed more minutes in 5 months than Ramsey in 2 years.
But try and name a game El Ghazi turned up for. I mean, Millwall away, I think he
Plymouth
has
home.
a 5-minute spell. But Ramsey at home against Swansea last season at home. You run the show at number 10. And it's not through a lack of effort. It's just injuries. And again, it's a gamble you take when you sign a player like that because you know his injury record, but you know what he can bring if he can show up. So I understand, why. Again, if you get him to play a coaching role, you go for it, like.
Oh, I got you. Here you go, Rhys.
This again.
Let's go.
Right, I'll say it again because algorithm
just popped up.
All I said last week was if I had a choice of picking a manager, it'd be Gary O'Neill. Premier League experience, he plays for Cardiff, he has a link with the club. That's what I said, a link with the club.
Rob will be absolutely in bits laughing at his watching.
I never said legend. I said a link with the club. But again, Premier League experience. He's at Bournemouth, he's at Wolves, links with the club, 9 appearances, still played for the club. This is a legend. He played for us with a link. Therefore, I'd take him. I mean,
I appreciate your comment, Al. I'm not sure if your name's actually Al or Algorithm, but I tell you what, that was the best comment I've seen tonight. That's comment of the live video, I think. Yeah, no, I look. I think I would take anyone with managerial experience right now, as long as it's not someone like Wayne Rooney or Steven Gerrard. And I've seen their names being linked, and I never want to see them being linked, even with odds of like 20 to 1. I don't want to see it. I think how anyone can be putting Wayne Rooney's name in the hat is just beyond me. The fact that he probably got Plymouth relegated. I mean, they would Birmingham. Plymouth. Yeah, exactly. Birmingham as well. Why would you want to do it again, but to League Two? I mean, like I know some are just like Frank Lampard. I get it. It just clicks with some of them, but come on,
Rooney's an awful manager, and if you watch the overlap, he said on the overlap, if I had better players, I'd do a better job. And I think, really, mate, you've got to coach him to do better. We beat you 5-0. We were the worst team in the league this season. We pumped you 5-0, mate.
He wasn't even on the touchline. I remember he was in the stands, I think.
Yeah, he had the red card. It says it all. But Rooney, I do not want Rooney. I don't want him nowhere near the club. I don't want him coming as a visiting manager. He can stay well away. He's one of the worst managers I've seen. Again, Gary O'Neill I'd take. If you go for cheap, Darren Moore's at Port Vale. He took Doncaster to the playoffs. Sheffield Wednesday to the playoffs. He's taken Port Vale up. He's done a job on a budget. He gets players playing. Ex-players have said, he knows how to get players playing. There's managers out there. We just got to have someone with the ball now to go out and identify them, get them in, and allow them to have a say and not try and overrule them all the time.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much we can say about it. And we mentioned earlier about the wage bill as well, where I think they were the 6th highest or something like that. I got a feeling that Chambers is probably one of the highest things I've heard. It doesn't surprise me too much that he also probably was one of the more underperformed players. Probably even El Ghazi was probably up there as well, even though he hasn't played for ages. But I believe that Sai actually has a breakdown video coming tomorrow. There'll be a deep dive into the city's wage bill, which would be very interesting. So make sure you tune in for that one. I think it'd be interesting to see. I'm not sure how specific it goes into it. But it would be nice to see maybe this player. And I got a feeling, I don't want to put my money on it, but probably the people that are being paid the most are the most probably underperforming this season. I got a feeling. I mean, you look at the youngsters, it's not them, let's be honest. They, if they were given a chance, they give them 200%, but we haven't really given the likes of Lawler a chance, or any youngsters really.
There's a few that need to go. I mean, like I said, the high earners, Jamlu's gone, oh thank God. El Ghazi will be gone, thank God. Chambers can go. I tell you what, right? We should put an advert out. Buy Chambers, get Hovat free. Buy one player, get 2 free. Honest to God. Sooner they go, the better. Because, again, you can't say a centre-half with Premier League experience and see that performance. He's looked absolutely dross this year. Will Fish has come in and looked head and shoulders above him. I mean, Gutas is going, sadly. I think, things didn't work out in the end with Gutas. He'll be off.
I think there was a bit of a thing with his contract situation. It was drawn out way too long because they offered him a new contract just after, I think it was maybe February time or something, and then they kind of just went stale for a bit. So, but I think maybe the loss of CO, maybe he just want to go back home. So, understandable.
Unfortunately, we'll see him go. Reno, I believe, is going as well now.
That'll be a big miss. I genuinely thought he'd stay.
I think he started off as a poor signing. I don't think anyone know how to get the best out of him. And to be fair, he came in under Rhys, right back, midfield. He worked his socks off. He was. Everyone I know said they voted for him to be player of the season, and somehow Callum Robson won it. So our show's all. Let's be honest. Tan's picking that. Let's be honest.
You probably seen all the goal. The goalkeepers haven't got any goals, so not picking them. So
exactly.
I'll finish off with let's see, there's one more to finish off with. I see you still coming. Okay, we'll choose this one then, Phil. Wayne Rooney would get the sack from a local park team. And
it depends. If the granny's in charge, he's safe.
Oh God. And there we have it. The answer on that. Thanks so much for joining. I appreciate it's been a slightly less structured I'll say as a breakdown then, but I'm not in charge of that. Maybe a mental breakdown, let's say. But no, appreciate that. I'm Matt Stunt Double. Probably doing a few more of these in the future. And thank you for all your comments as well. Please make sure you do subscribe because I know some of you watch it, which is great, and I appreciate the support. But if you subscribe, let us know how many people are watching as well, and become a member. I think I've said that enough now, but it's the cheapest chips, so anything to help us out would be great.
I'll leave a comment after the end of the show as well. That helps boost us. Like leave a comment. It helps the channel, with the algorithms and stuff.
Algorithm. Thank you very much, guys. I'll see you all soon.